What do you make of that back and forth and how the United States is trying to present Hamas as the biggest obstacle to the ceasefire?
Well, of course they would. The one overriding goal is to provide political cover for Israel and to make them look as favorable as possible. I mean, before we get into the basics of the ceasefire, we have to acknowledge that from a strategic perspective, Hamas has achieved all of its objectives, putting the question of Palestinian self-determination and statehood back on the table, discrediting the deterrence capacity of the Israeli military and intelligence apparatus, which was destroyed on October 7th, and showing the world exactly what Israel was and getting the conversation about Palestine in the global forum. So they've achieved all their strategic objectives, and Israel has achieved none of itself. None of it. First of all, it's going into pariah statehood. It's acting increasingly like a rogue state. They haven't freed all the hostages. Destroying Hamas and dismantling Hamas completely was one of their stated objectives, which is impossible. They would literally have to kill everybody in Gaza, and genocidal regimes don't last, so they can't do that. And so they're in an impossible position.
I agree about the achieved goals, but to what price? It's always a good question to ask. Like, those who are fighting for the liberation of their people, like, is the sacrifice worth it? And I don't think that is the right question, because any violence done to the people as retaliation for certain parts of their population resisting that oppression, the blame fully lays at the feet of the ones doing the killing. It's not the Al-Qassam Brigade's fault that Israel killed 37,000 people. That's Israel. Israel could have very easily, on October 7th, had a mourning period and either done strategic exfiltration of their hostages or recognized that it's the apartheid that's causing this. Now, Bassem Youssef had a very good take about this question of what should Israel have done. And Bassem Youssef said, well, if I'm the leader of Israel, I'm going to do exactly what Israel did, because that's what the system of apartheid, of what theocratic ethno-fascism is. Israel's doing exactly what it's modeled to do.
We provided intelligence support for an operation that saved 4 hostages and killed over 270 Palestinians as we're trying to get this ceasefire over the hump. Do you think that affected Hamas's position here? Because they probably are like, you guys are not honest brokers here. You just okayed this operation.
Didn't the Israeli UN ambassador literally say right after the ceasefire vote, fuck you, we are not going to stop? Yeah, in more words, but yes, that the UN was not going to stop Israel from achieving its stated goals. Israel is recruiting for Hamas. Hamas doesn't have to do anything to recruit under these circumstances. Recruiting is not the right word. It's not the right word. Something like activating people to join Hamas would be the correct assessment. You have radicalized people beyond what you already were pushing them into. Desperation. You have pushed people that were already pushed into a corner farther and farther. No matter what we're talking about, humans, animals, all living creatures have some type of defense that they will push against an encroaching danger. Forcing them to, what other choice is there? People won't just sit there and let this happen to their community. Right. Every American hog is always like, hell yeah, brother, I'm taking up arms against my government. They fantasize, they LARP, as if they would do quite literally what the Al-Qassam Brigade is doing. They wouldn't. They'd bend the knee very quickly. They would immediately fold to American, American tyranny. Or they would be on the side of it, let's be real.